Okay. So just want to let you know for the online people, the thing is being recorded and it will be shared with the managers of Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. And today we are hosting an event in collaboration with Google Developer Students Club, and I'm one of the community and code team leads who's hosting the event, and I'm also one of the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador lead, and I will be doing a presentation on introduction to Git and GitHub. It's an introductory level presentation focused primarily on first years and second years. So who usually have trouble in accessing Git and GitHub, maybe Git pull and merge request. So probably we're gonna fix that today, maybe. But yeah, let's get started. So the agenda for today would stay in what is Git, what is GitHub, why using GitHub is important, and how to create a repository, very important, of course. Then how to upload your code on GitHub, um, the git add and basic commands, the git pull and merge request, and GitHub actions, and Git branches. So that would be the main content for today. So let's just get started. So Git is like a super smart save button for your code. Like, just want to start with what is Git? Like, why do we need to use it? It's like it just lets you save and track your different versions. So it's basically a platform that every single developer uses. Why do we use it? We just want to upload our code and make sure we have it somewhere on the cloud so that whenever we are working in collaboration with others, and as you all know, like engineering is not a one man army. You always work in group projects with somebody else and not just all alone. Even if you're working all alone, you just want to upload your code somewhere so that you have it saved for the next time you want to come visit it back or maybe make changes to it. That's one platform called Git, and it's used as your local repository on your own computer. And it's a way of using a version control. Now, basically, if you're wondering what version control is, it's just a system that provides you methods of updating your separate versions. Like whenever you update your code, it's a different version that you just made a code. And if you want to just update that, you can just simply git push and put it somewhere on the cloud so that it's saved for the next time. And that's where it comes on the GitHub. So GitHub is based on and around Git, which is a platform that we use on our local computers. GitHub is just a cloud platform where you can just make your own account and maybe log in. And that's where you connect through your local repository on the computer to the cloud on the web. That's what I would call the basic, most used version control system for collaboration. Whenever you want to work with your peers, like working on a project or just simply doing your own project, you want to save the code, that's where GitHub comes into play. It is continuous for integration and deployment support, that is CI/CD, as we'll be talking about. And it extends Git's functionality by adding a web interface that just we talked about how it's useful. So let's get into more thing. So why do we want to use GitHub? So there are several reasons to use GitHub. It enables collaboration, coding, tracking issues, and makes version control easier. Definitely. Now, why is it like we only want to use GitHub? Have you ever heard about a different platform where any people just use code and collaborate with other developers and just continue working on a big project? I have never heard like a very big software such like that. So GitHub is one that is owned by Microsoft, and it just offers a big functionality when you can just like collaborate with all the other peers and add your code while somebody else is adding theirs code. When you're working in a bigger firm, in a bigger company, or on a small project, you just want to make sure your code is being saved somewhere so that you never lose it. And you can definitely showcase it to all the employers applying for your co-ops and jobs so that people can see, yes, you work in maybe alone or in peers with in collaboration with people so that you know like what teamwork is and how to make different projects on your own. It's also a way for individuals to showcase their projects, yes, and multiple developers work on the same project to review each other's code. It just helps makes people easy because when somebody else is working on the code, there's more chances of getting a mistake recognized, which one person when doing by themselves is not able to just recognize it sometimes. So it's just easier. And definitely you can merge your code with others. So that's all collaboration, how it works. Now comes the main content where we start like how to create a repository. So firstly, we just go to the github.com if I would want to show it. Let's see if the link works. The link does work, but okay. So what we will be doing is we'll go over the whole GitHub, how to do the things, and I'll just go over a small demonstration on every topic. So first, we'll just understand in a theoretical way how a GitHub should be working and how what are the basic steps to it. So just go to github.com. You can sign in, click your profile. If you have never created a profile, that's just easy thing. Like you just make a username and a password, and that's how you just sign in. But other than that, when you're just signed in, just click on your profile and your repositories, and just click new, create a repository, enter your repo's name, choose a visibility, and the basic steps you can read on the slide. But there's a short demonstration I think we should be showing here. Can you see the video here? Okay. It's just maybe taking some time. Yeah, I think the video is not visible right now. Okay. What we can do is I'm just trying one thing. Why does it not show? It's not playing on the user session. Should have been playing. Okay. What we can do is I'll just unshare this and we will go to a different platform to show you. Can you see my screen right now? Like the share book. Is the video visible? No. Is my screen visible? Okay, can you play on your screen? Can you, is it visible? Okay, sounds good. So yeah, just the basic steps. This is one of the members' profile. Just click on new, and that's where the create a new repository page is. And then you just type in a name, anything that could be test one or anything like my first repo or anything. And then you could make it public or private. That's definitely one you add a README file where you just write a short introduction or a description on what the GitHub repo is about. Is it a project or what it is about? And you just start it. And yes, just click on create at the end. I just missed that. Yeah, once you click create and it does work. I think that helped. So I'll be just going back to my slides now. This takes a while loading. So we'll be going through the live demonstration of it at the end, but for now, just like a short theoretical introduction. So the basic commands that we use in Git and GitHub every day is how to upload your code on GitHub. the very first command once you write down your code, whatever it is on the project, is the git add star, or if you call it asterisk. So it's just git with a space and a add asterisk. It adds all your files, whatever it is. Like it's not just one file; it's all the files that you have made changes. You just upload them, and that's just like git add star. It makes it live on the GitHub repo, and then to commit changes, you add git commit dot dash m, and then just add a message to it what it is about. For example, if anybody outsider or maybe your next peer member who doesn't know when you made a change to the GitHub wants to know what changes did you make. It's just a short descriptive message, not a one line. It's just maybe a one word or a two word thing. Maybe you could say image change, or you could just say the next slide or whatever you did, just mention that in the message. And or sometimes when you're doing a lab work, you want to show you submitted the work, you just write submit or submission, and that's how it works. Or you sometimes write final submission is what the message is. It just makes the changes committed to GitHub actually. And then the third one is the git push that actually pushes all your committed changes to the GitHub online from your git bash to GitHub is where the connection comes in. It's all through the command itself. And so, yes, you can just use Git status to check where you are right now, if your changes have been saved or not, if your changes have been committed or not. Just use Git status for that and just, yeah, commit the changes. If there's any questions in between, you can maybe ask. So, just a screenshot on how the commands look like while you're doing your changes. So, these commands are written on the terminal and not on the edited part of the code. I will be showing this in the live demonstration, and yeah, should be good for that. So the yes, stages, all changes is just meaning like you're committing new changes to it. It's just it just means stages means yeah the different steps that you have taken to make all the changes. Stages are also like all the files. Just stages is just like you present all the changes. So it just adds on all the changes to the GitHub itself. Yeah. Yes, yes. So git add and then asterisk is the first command that you do while you commit changes. Just once. Like once you're ready to push your code, you just do it once. And then after that, you make commit, git commit, and then with a message. Like what are you committing it to? Does that make sense? Yeah. And then git push it. Okay. So, oh yeah, go ahead. Before doing all this, yeah, I'll go through the live demonstration at the end. Okay, coming next to is a get pull and a merge request. One of the very um terrible sometimes situations when we want to merge some repos. I mean the changes that one person makes and the another person of the same project makes. So get pull is a very easy command, honestly. If you just get pull stuff, or just write get pull once you're ready to take the changes from the peers from the Git itself, and you can just make it to the local copy of your GitHub. And to contribute, we just use merge request or request, which lets other team members review your approved changes before merging them to the main code. The most important reason we need to use it is because while working in a project, whatever changes you have made is not seen by the other member until unless they're pushed and until unless it is get pulled by them. So once we push is when our task is done, and once the other person get pulls is when their task is done by reviewing our changes. And in case they have already made some changes which are not get pushed, so they need to make a merge request to get pull and merge both the changes so that they can work in a smoother manner, if that makes sense. Yeah. The steps are just written down here. So the pull request is to just propose changes you made into another command. The team members can review and code and discuss the changes before merging into the main project. Sometimes you don't want to merge the changes that have been made. That could be seen in the GitHub actions when we talk about some changes are likely to be giving an error and we don't want to merge them. So we could just do that before merging it because then merge creates an issue sometimes. And the steps are just pull and merge request. Going ahead. So this is how the pull screenshot would look like. Git pull origin main. Origin main is one of the branches, the main branches that we use. We'll be introducing branches at the end, what a grid branches are. And yes, these are just the basic steps and commands. Git checkout feature branch. Yeah, as I just talked about, which branch do we want to get pull the stuff from, and which do we want to set up again? Is where we just use the main branch and maybe another one. So branches are basically when you want to create a different set or a copy of the same code and you don't want the previous code to be changed at all. You just want to make edits on your own and don't want them to be reflected on the main branch that everybody is working on. That's where branches comes in. And then you just get push whatever is in the main origin or whatever featured branch you want. If you don't want it to be on the main branch, you just use a different branch. That's what you write. Going ahead is one of the interesting topics called GitHub Actions, which is not that familiar to everybody until unless you start exploring GitHub on your own. So imagine you're building with Lego blocks, and every time you add a new piece, a robot checks if it's built correctly or not. So it's basically GitHub Actions. What it does is it just checks whatever you're pushing on the GitHub. Is it really legit or is it really feasible to go with the next code or not? Because we need to check for errors and stuff. If the code has errors, it will just show a small red cross. But if it's not having any errors and if it passes all the test cases, sometimes we don't even have test cases to pass, and we just want to check if the syntax is right or not in our whatever language we're working in. So that's where GitHub Actions play a good role by just showing a small green tick and just makes us feel happier when it just shows a green tick. So it's always preferred to use GitHub Actions. Once you're into GitHub things, you will learn eventually how does it help more. So it's also like when someone changes the code, it checks if everything works well and even helps put on the website if it's ready. It's a helper that makes sure everything stays in place and works as it should. So it's basically you just make a setting in your GitHub repo that you want to use GitHub Actions, and it is permitted with all the languages using in Git and GitHub. So yeah, I will be demonstrating this as well. So basically how it looks like is this. If you could just see whatever the changes I have made, I have written a short descriptive message. That is what we usually write with git commit m and then the message. And then we can also see like what kind of the green and the red tick shows us. Maybe there was an error when I was making a change to my image and the image was not being updated because it was high resolution. So it was not being uploaded perfectly. So it just gave me an error to it. And GitHub Actions is where I got to know my image is not actually uploaded before even deploying my website. So I just knew. And that's where it helped me by changing my image. And then when I added a new image, I just got to know, oh, it is ready to be there and it's perfectly fine. It's working in the code itself. So I don't have to change the image and I can easily deploy it. And when the deployment actually works is where I could just see the green tick, oh, the deployment is fine. And it's ready to be a link to be shared with everyone. So these are where GitHub Actions play a role. And going to the next slide. Yes, as we talked about GitHub branches, what GitHub branches are. So branches just allow us to work on features or bug fixes without affecting the main code base. We can just create a branch for a new feature, test it, and then merge it back when it is ready. So why do we use branches is we just want to work on a separate code format or a separate editor and don't want that changes to reflect to the main branch, as I just said before. And you can just make changes, fix your code, fix your bugs if you know there is something going on in the main repo. Just do it on the separate branch so that the main one that you showcase is not iterated. And yes, just make changes on it and work on your own. Or sometimes you would just like to test things and experiment things. How are they going? So just making a new branch helps. You can also switch between branches to work on different features or bugs, as I just talked about. After completing a feature or fix, merge your branch into the main branch to include changes in the main code base. So if you're very much confident on the branch that you are working, that the code has been fixed, there is no bugs anymore, and you are ready to set it together, you could merge it with the main branch. If you don't want to merge it, you can not merge it and just be working on it as alone. But if you would like to merge it and you don't want to copy paste stuff or don't want to redo the things, you could just merge it as well. There's like commands for that. So yes, this is like the main screenshot for all the commands that we use to merge the branches. So get branch feature and XYZ is just the branch name that you used, and a new branch is created when you're on the GitHub. And then git checkout is which you want to switch to. If you want to stay in the branch that you just created, or you want to switch to a different branch, is when you use checkout command. And then get add dot main.py is when you want to like making some changes, you want to commit them on the GitHub, like you want to make them finalized and you want to just git push them. So git commit with the message for sure. And then git checkout main if you want to switch back to the main branch, or if you want to get back to the branch you were working on, you can just use checkout again. So checkout is what does that. And then get merge is when you want to actually merge it with your main branch or not. This is completely optional if you would like to do that or not. So moving forward, okay, that were the main topics that we just discussed, like time to make your own repo and practice. Okay, so in summary, Git and GitHub help us manage code efficiently, collaborate seamlessly, and automate workflows. So understanding these basics will help you work on large projects and be an effective team member to your peers. Okay, so I will be showing a live demo on how GitHub works. Give me a second. So I'm gonna stop sharing this. If anybody has questions before we move on to the demonstration, you can just maybe ask in the chat or here if anybody has a question. Or you would like to see a particular thing, me going over it. Not, I will just start the live demonstration. Oh, yeah. I think, can you see my screen now? Yeah, okay. So this is one of the GitHub pages when you are logged in. I'm just assuming this is a prereq for everybody to have a Git Bash and GitHub account. If you don't, I can maybe show that by just going back. Okay, let's go back. If you just do GitHub login and then go to sign up, is where you would get a page for a username and a password since I'm already logged in. So I don't know. I can log out and show that. Okay, actually, I would not want to sign out right now. So let me just stay signed in so that I don't mess up later with my passwords. Okay, so this is the page for GitHub that you just come across. The home page is what we call. If you want to see your profile, which is not that finely set right now, I will just show it. This is what your main profile looks like, and you could just put a short description about yourself, just how you do elevator pitch on LinkedIn or wherever. And then these are the repositories that you have always worked on, and just yeah, this the just shows your contributions. The lighter ones is less contributed, the darker ones is when you have contributed like heavily. Going to the repositories, this is one of the tabs where we have repositories and overviews, just what we are in already. And let's go to the repositories, and we want to create a new one. So to create a new repository, as we were talking about, just click on new and it will bring you to a page that says create a new repository. Just put in a repo name. It could be anything like um, test. That's fun. Okay. Test one is available. It will also show you what name is available. I don't want to put a description right now since I'm just showing it off like what it is. You can make the repo public or private. It's definitely up to you. If you keep it public, it is visible to anybody using GitHub. If they just type in a name of a repo, they will be able to access it, what it is not. If you just keep it private to yourself, and it's you the only one who can work on GitHub and see it, but it's not recommended sometimes to be private. If you want to show what you did on a project to your employer, the employer won't be able to access what you did in the repo. So it's preferred to put it public. Yes. Here's access to us. That's a good question though. I don't think we can do that. I've never tried that, but wait, what's the question? You can have access. Okay, just providing access to certain people. There's a collaboration. There's a collaboration thing. There's also like projects thing. If you do a project, you could add members to it, and then that's where you provide access to certain people. But while creating a repository, that's not usually the case. It's just for public and private. I think I'm right on that. Okay, so adding a README file is always recommended. Why? Because we want to know what it is about. Why are we creating a repository? It's just a short or sometimes a long description about what the project is, why we are doing it, and if we just want to show anybody, a layman or an outsider who does not have any knowledge about what the repo is, they could just view from the information provided in the README file. It's sometimes even just your name or anything. Once you start doing labs on GitHub, you will understand what a README file is and why is it important. Okay, so once you're here, just create a repository is the button you click, and then that's when a repo is created. So as you just saw, I did not write anything in the README file. It's just the name of the repo itself. So README is always required, but definitely up to you, whatever you want to put in or not. So now if I want to just uh, add a new file to it, what I would do is just click on the plus button here and add a file. This could be anything, like I could maybe let's say hello dot py. Always use extensions to know which language are you working in. And that's how. If I just click on commit changes, yeah, it sometimes just give you recommendations on what the message could be for committing. It's easier on the GitHub itself. If I just go to the Visual Studio and show you how it would look like, I would demonstrate actually from there as well. So this is just like committing message, putting in a short message. Click commit changes, and it's all saved. And you have a new file on the GitHub itself now. Once I click to it, I could maybe code here as well, or what I would prefer is going to VS Code because that's the basic software that every developer uses. It's easy, it's handy to work in collaborations and just work on your like local computer and not be on the cloud always. So this is one of the softwares. So just a pre-assumption that you all have VS Code. If you don't, you can just download it. You will be downloading it soon once you just get to second year, third year. Okay. I'm just gonna open one of my folders. Let's say I will open a personal portfolio of mine. So this is one of the projects that I've been doing lately. So this is not in PY, by the way, but just in case I want to clone a repo, what I would do is this will definitely show you what you have already, which directory you are already in. And if you want to go to whatever directory it is, like you just do CD and then portfolio. That's what you do. And now in case I want to git clone, actually we have not talked about the git clone command, but that's really important if you're on the VS Code and you want to work on your local computer and not the cloud. So you just do git clone and just clone the repo. So what I will do now is I'm back on my since I'm here, and let me show you another file and you will also learn it, I think. So let's say I want to clone one of my portfolios. That's this. So there's like green button. If you just go here, a copy command, actually a copy button, or you could just like click this web browser thing and then copy it. And just paste it here. Oh, let's copy it from here. Going back to Visual Studio, paste it right after the git clone. It's just a keyword that you need to use before adding this. It will just clone you back to your portfolio or whatever project it is. And then let's use the get push and pull commands first. So just in case, assuming I made a change here, let's say I don't want to make it small letter contact, I want it to be capital C contact. And whatever it is, still a change, even though not exactly a change or not a bigger change, but it is a change since you can just see here like a one here. That means you have not saved whatever it is. Once you hit Control S, it is saved, and now you want to get pushed these changes, and you want everybody else to have it. So what I would just do get add an asterisk. This is the first command that we were discussing about, and just hit enter, and then oh, actually I needed to be in. Oh, okay. I go back. My keys are not working. I don't know why. Okay, so since there is no other errors, it just showed get added has worked, and I want to commit these changes now. Git commit, and this is where you put a message. So I would just say slight change, maybe. Like this is not descriptive, by the way, but okay, let's do it. Spelling change. These are not working. Okay. And then quoted in double quotes. Enter, and it will just show whatever the change is in the VS Code itself. Now we are ready to get push the stuff. Get push. You would get a message here when it says 100% like 5 on 5 done and everything like that. It just means everything has been get pushed. Now, if I go back to GitHub and show you if that is actually true or not, I would refresh this page, and there is a small thing like this is actually where GitHub Actions is working, and you just see a yellow dot where it says pending, and we are just waiting on it to work. If I go to Actions and review, if it is actually being get pushed or not, I could just see here. So I would not have to like demonstrate this later, but this is where GitHub Actions play a role, and I can just see if it is being deployed or not. Since it's a like a larger content, it just takes a while to update, and it says in progress now. So once it's done, it will show a green tick mark. If there's any errors or anything else, which I know is not right now, it would show a red cross, but for this case, it will show a green tick. Oh, damn, there's the error. It has not been deployed. But okay, it's fine. At least we know what GitHub Actions is now. I will fix this later. Yes, deploying is always an issue, but okay, we'll fix it later. And talking about the first, what we did is get pushing stuff. So what it is recommended always is to get pull as well first when you get push. So I just wanted to show a demonstration of get push first and before a get pull. So let's just try get pulling now. And I'm just gonna get out of the directory. Let's see. I'm going to get actually let's go to a new terminal. I'm going to get clone again. Okay, so it says it's already in the directory. So what I will do is get pull the thing. Let me open a different folder to showcase this. Have I been muted for the whole time? No, right? Have I been muted for the whole time? Since 7. Okay. I, 3 minutes. Okay, not a bad time then. Okay. So what I was just saying is there might be some repos where your GitHub actions are not already enabled. That was my repo, my personal project. So I just enabled for all of my repos. But this is since a collaboration project that we have been doing. We have not enabled GitHub actions, but it is always recommended to do it. So to enable GitHub actions and to actually use it, just go to actions. And since we have been working with Python only, I know it will always give you recommendations to what package you would want to use for the GitHub actions. You can maybe just use Python package or any Python application or anything that you think is going to be the most feasible one with your project. So in this case, I'm just going to use a Python application, and let's configure it. So this is the main code. And for this, what you need to use is a YML code. YML, yeah, YML code. It does just says here YML code.py. And then once you commit changes, it will just proceed with your GitHub on the local repository and commit these things. I have committed directly to the main branch. There was an option. I just went really fast to it. So I've committed the actions. Probably it should be there if I just go back. Okay, now the GitHub actions have been configured and we can just see a red cross. There's definitely some error going on in the project and it has showed me a cross, which means we cannot just deploy this project before we get a green tick on it. Doesn't make any sense. Yes. Okay. Any questions on the online people that you could just let me know. So as I showed before, there were like in my different repos, for example, this one, I think it should have, yeah. So let's go to the actions for this. Yeah, this is one of the one that I put it in the screenshot. So there's so many red crosses before you get a green cross. I mean a green tick, which just means like there have been errors while you have been updating your code, you have been changing images, you have been putting new content, there have been errors. And once your errors are fixed and then you get push is when you get a green tick to it. That makes sense. Okay, and the deployment always has to be a green tick. That means it is ready to be a link and be shared with other people. So yeah, if that's a cross, then you need to fix something in the code for sure. And yes, that's pretty much it to the end of it. And we were talking about branches as well. So since this is a very big thing that we have done previously, it's like my technical onboarding while I became an ambassador for Microsoft. So there were 12 branches, and so many people have worked separately out of the main branch. And these are just the branches. If you want to, the default one is always called the main, and that's the first branch that is created by itself. You don't have to do one. But just in case you want to do your own things and make your separate code that has more changes, or you don't want to do it on the same thing. For example, you're using a template that so many other organizations are using, and you want to make changes to the template and you want to create something of your own to it, just how I did. This was a template that I used, and I just added my own pages to it and made a new repository out of it. So what I did is I added some branches, and this is one of the branch, the GH pages, and then I just merged it with my template that I was using from a different organization. And that's where the thing comes in. Yeah, you just create a new branch is when you create a new branch, add a branch name, and then just click create new branch to help yourself. I cannot just do changes to this one, but yes, that's basically how you do GitHub branches to it. Does that make any sense? Any questions, concerns, conflicts? Yes. Oh, you mean the VS Code? And the terminal is in the VS Code, or which terminal are you talking about? This one? Okay, what do you want to configure here? To the GitHub account. Yeah. So git clone is the basic command to do that, is what I just showed. So whatever repository you have created. So the first thing is you create a repo on the GitHub, and then is when you actually use it through the Git bash in your VS Code. So for that, you just have like prereqs, that's Git bash on your laptop, and a VS Code, that's just a software. You could use any other software as well if you would like, not a VS Code. And then just use git clone is what I used before to connect my one repo working on the VS Code to the GitHub online on a cloud platform. If you have a problem with Git, you have to download Git. You can just download it from our website. Search up Git and download it. Can you like see here this git clone command like on the screen? So that's how you connect the VS Code repo to the GitHub repo. Yes, yes. You just copy the make sure you're on the main page of it and not in any of the files. Otherwise, it will just clone it to the main file and not the whole thing. Yeah. You can do that, but if it's only public, you can do it. So many people do it. Yes. You that's like a setting in it. Like you cannot push to their repository. Obviously, there are settings to it, and yeah, that's like a different whole topic which is to start. But yeah, you can definitely use templates from different people, and that's where branches come in. Like you take somebody else GitHub repo, download it first, and then use that. You just open a folder out of it. You cannot just get cloned from there. It's like you are not always authorized to do that.
Yeah, for that, it, wait, like, if the repository is called, it's linked to a specific repository on the internet. If you look at any Git repository that you clone locally, there's usually a .git folder. If you don't see it, you have to enable it. And that .git folder basically is all the information of where the remote repository is and where it needs to push to and what user credentials you need to be with that system. And that's per repository. So you can clone from GitHub, you can clone from GitHub anywhere. And that information is specific to the repo. So you don't really have to link your terminal per se to GitHub itself. Once you try to push or pull for the first time, it will ask you to enter your password, and that password is stored per repo.
Yeah, that's like entirely if you're using somebody else's public repo, and that's when you would need a password to access it just through the terminal. Otherwise, what you can do is download their whole repository and then open a folder in your own VS Code to use it.
If you want to contribute to someone else's GitHub, you have to fork it on your GitHub account. So what that does is that it basically creates a copy of their repo on GitHub. You commit to your version of the repo, and then you can contribute by doing a pull request into the parent repo.
Yeah. Any other questions? So that just brings us to that. Yeah. Go ahead. Exactly. That's like an interesting part. So that's when you click on your profile. So my profile is not very updated at this point. So it's not the perfect one, not the ideal I would show. But I just have a small description about who I am. And you could just make it more fancier by adding in some pictures about some coding projects that you have done, or just highlighting your skills. What are the actual skills you have, like maybe the frameworks or the languages? Just put icons on that, and it's just a way of showcasing yourself, like how creative you could be in your. This is the README file actually. So if you just edit it and then put up whatever you want here, like it could be a picture, anything. It could be a link to your different, maybe something like Notion. If you are from first year 1B13, you would be having a Notion like thing, and you can showcase that here as well, if that makes sense. And that's just like the basic editing for GitHub. And you could make changes to this as well, like this thing. You could maybe make a snake game in this as well, and that could just go over the light green parts and then the dark green parts, if that makes sense. I can show you of one of my friends maybe who has a really good GitHub. This is how like an ideal GitHub looks like if somebody is really into like making it creative and stuff. And yeah, so much work. Like this is so much work. Yeah, this is like a snake game she has. This is like a pro level editing to it. You don't really need that much, but just make good projects is what matters.
Typically check it out. So you have to understand that we get thousands of applications for job posting, especially if they're employer. They're not with that.
Yeah.
That's usually something you go through during your interview. So only recommendation is that you should know your GitHub really well.
Make sure you have like live links in your resume. That would help more. Like if they just want to see the project and not the whole code. Like you can explain your code in the interview if you get one. Any other questions on the commands or the basic stuff that we covered today? I'm not even like looking at the online chat, but if anybody has like any questions from the online, it's welcome to ask it in the chat. Are we good? If no other questions, then that just brings us to the end of the slides. That is like you can try this on at your own once. And yeah, we're just at the Q&A session.
So many of you guys have used it before.
Yeah. How many of you are first years here? Yeah. as expected. So this is primarily for you guys. You won't be having anything much for Git and GitHub in the first year, definitely not. But if you are ready to make your own things, is when you want to start your own stuff on GitHub. Just staying ahead of the class and making your own projects. Just introductory levels for you. But yeah, second year you might be having few labs on GitHub is when you're introduced to GitHub. It's always better to know what GitHub is before being in the class and doing your own projects. Just staying ahead of the class. Any more questions? Or there's one in the chat. Sure. Let's go. Okay, I can stop sharing the screen then. Will this PPT be sent to attendees? If you would like, we can share the PPT with you. Like if we get like, yeah, we can also upload it to the GDG website. You would, you know the GDG website, right? If you just type in GDG McMaster and the events, go to events, the upcoming events, you would see the GDSCs and MLSA, the collab event that we just did today. We'll also be posting the recording for it on there, and you can just view the presentation. We'll be uploading the presentation there. How's the LinkedIn Premium voucher being handled now? Very good question. Yes. Okay. Coming to the interesting part of the event, as promised, we will be giving LinkedIn Premium vouchers. That is by the Microsoft Learnership Ambassador community. And it's like once the event is approved, it takes like a month to dispatch the vouchers. So it's one voucher per 10 attendees. So depending on how many attendees we have had, we will be getting the vouchers, and that is raffled at random. So we will be raffling uh, the voucher by ourselves by the leads, and you would be knowing we already have the RSVP people, and we know like maybe if you are just joining in person and you have not RSVP'd, it would be better if you RSVP right now to it so that we have your details and then we'll be just raffling it at random and let you know by in the month, and we'll be marketing it like who have got and emailing them with the vouchers. Make sure you redeem the voucher within like 15 days because they have changed the rules now. If you redeem it within 15 days is when it's active, and it's for 6 months for free. Makes sense. It's gonna take like a month before you get the voucher, so we don't know who's gonna get it. It's not a decision by me. It's actually a decision by my managers from the Microsoft Learnership Ambassador community, so they will be raffling. Any other questions from in person or live? Am I just If not, you're free to head out and just give a thumbs up if you like the event or not. Yeah. If not, it's fine. You could just say no. It's fine. I wouldn't mind that. No, it's fine. I mean, that's a lot. But whatever, yeah. Thank you for attending. Thanks. Your presence means a lot. Thank you. Thanks for your time, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy. I'm gonna stop recording.